everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Melissa and I'm with Sew Yours. I have got a great pattern that we will be making today, and this is the Callie Crossbody bag. This is my latest sewing pattern available for purchase on my website at sewyours.com, and this is the actual bag that we'll be making today. I do have hardware kits available for purchase in limited quantities on my website, so you can visit sewyours.com and pick up a hardware kit as well as the pattern, which is an instant download PDF pattern, and start making yours today. Let me show you a few other versions that I've made. I've also done a separate introductory video that goes over all of the features this bag has to offer, the interfacings that I would recommend using for this bag, so you can check that out in the description box below. Here's another version that I've made. This is one that my daughter's actually taken ownership of and has been carrying and enjoying quite well. She actually was upset that I had to take it for the video today to share with you, because she said that she can carry her life in this bag and she loves it. It's kind of funny because normally she likes little bags like an itty bitty bowler bag, but she's grown quite fond of this particular bag. So here is the crossbody strap on this one. And unfortunately, I don't have my camera low enough so you can see what it looks like on me, but I'll go ahead and share some tester photos on the screen here, so that way you can also see some other versions of their bags as well. They all did an excellent job testing this pattern and giving me the feedback so that it's perfect for you. This was my initial prototype of the bag, and this is the one that I've been carrying. And when I carry this bag across body on me, it kind of feels like a security blanket, because it is a plush, kind of squishy bag. It fits nicely right against my body. It holds a lot of stuff. So I'm really enjoying this pattern. Last one here, I'll show you. This is the one that I created in the sewing pattern itself. And this one was made with a duck cotton, or like a cotton canvas. I can't remember what it's called. And then a denim fabric right here. So that's another version of the Callie Crossbody. And let me show you a little differences here. So you can see when I picked this one up, it has a short strap here. This is just a shoulder strap that you can create if you just want to carry it over your shoulder and kind of keep it tucked underneath you. I would recommend cutting this strap at about 22 inches long. If you're about my height, I'm only 4'11". However, if you're closer to 6 foot tall, you might want to go ahead and create that shoulder strap at about 26 inches. And you can carry this over your shoulder if you want, instead of crossbody. Or you can go ahead and do both. Obviously not at the same time, but we've got the crossbody strap right here on this one. And when I initially designed this pattern, I thought, okay, let's have a second shorter shoulder strap right here. And when we're not using it, we can go ahead and clip it on this lower set of D-rings right here. And we can just carry that with us whenever we want. If we want to trade it out, we can do that. So you can see that that just sits nicely behind the bag. So that's an option for you. However, I like just having the D-rings here as a little extra decorative touch, adds a little extra bling here. But you could also take a tassel like I have here on this bag, and instead of having it on the front zipper pocket here, you can clip a tassel here. I would probably go with like a rather large tassel here, just to have some more visual interest and some movement in the bag. But you can certainly just exclude this if you don't want to have the extra D-rings. The hardware kit comes with these D-rings as well as these nice big O-rings. So you guys can get those if you decide to purchase the hardware kit. This is 45 millimeters or 1 3/4 inches in diameter. So you can see they're rather large. It's quite a statement piece, but I'm really liking them on this particular bag. I think that's about it. Check out that video, like I said, about all of the details and features that this bag has to offer in the description box below. If you have any questions, let me know. And let's go ahead and move on into making the Callie Crossbody. Here I have all of the pieces that make up the Callie Crossbody bag, and we'll go over that. But I first wanted to start by telling you about the interfacing for this particular bag. So the Callie Crossbody bag is designed to be more of a slouchier design, so more of a softer bag, doesn't have very much structure. So as you can see here in this particular bag, it's plush, it squishes, it does not have structure, and whenever you attach a strap to it, and you get some weight in there into the bag, which I don't have anything in this bag at the moment, it really kind of comes down and it slouches. So that is the way that the bag's designed to be. Now, if you want a bag that has more structure, then you could certainly add some more structured interfacing to this bag, or I should say stabilizer. But let me explain what I recommend for this particular design. So I recommend, if you're working with vinyl as your predominant exterior of your fabric, so as you can see here, I have vinyl on the center, the top. My back exterior piece is complete vinyl, and then I have vinyl for my exterior gusset. So if you're doing that, you do not need any kind of stabilizer at all, unless you choose to do so. And if you choose to have a more structured bag and do stabilizer, I'd recommend Decavo Light for this particular bag. And if you're doing a stabilizer, I would recommend a stabilizer whenever you're making this bag completely in quilting cotton. So I have made this particular bag all in quilting cotton here, or I should say like a duck canvas, or it's a cotton canvas and a denim right here. And so for this particular bag, I did go ahead and add stabilizer to it. I ironed my stabilizer, which I chose to use fusible foam, or I keep saying fusible foam, fusible fleece. I ironed my stabilizer to my lining pieces instead of the exterior pieces. And that's because the back side of this front panel right here is got a lot of different pieces going on to it. So it was much easier for me to just go ahead and iron that fusible fleece to the lining panels here. So if you are choosing to do a stabilizer, either because you want a more structured bag or you're working completely in quilting cotton, you would need to cut a stabilizer piece E and a gusset stabilizer G. So these are little tabs that you can see all over my pieces. This helps me stay organized. So I recommend cutting those out and using them, especially when you're working with this particular bag, because there is quite a bit of different pieces going on here. It'll just keep you nice and organized. All of my patterns have these. And the piece that's labeled G is the gusset stabilizer. So that is the piece that goes all around this gusset. And stabilizer E is the front and the back. So nice big pieces right there. But I didn't cut those, like I said, because I'm working with vinyl predominantly. And another piece that I did not cut, just to show you right off the bat, is I have in the pattern a zipper end piece. Since I am working with zipper end hardware right here, I did not make a zipper end. The instructions are written in the pattern if you want to do that. I also believe my Martini crossover YouTube video does show you how to make a zipper end if you need a visual, so you can check that out. All of the hardware that I'll be showing you later today and on all of these bags are from my website, except for these little tassel caps. Now, I didn't give you any instructions on how to make a tassel in the pattern, but if you want to make a tassel, I will be getting these tassel caps in stock in about a week or two on my website in all 6 finishes that I offer, which is gold, rose gold, light gold, rose gold, nickel, gunmetal, antique brass, and rainbow. But again, that'll be another week or two before they're available. So that's it as far as stabilizer recommendations. And let me show you, let's talk about the straps to begin with. So in this pattern, I basically just gave you the measurements for a crossbody strap, which is a nice long strap just like this that has the slider on it to make it adjustable. And you could also make an additional strap if you wanted to. You could do a shorter shoulder strap like I have on this particular bag here. That's another option for you. You're just going to go ahead and cut your strap to 22 inches long, and you don't need the adjustable strap slider on that, but that's an option for you too. And then I do have 2 different styles of straps. Let me grab the other one. So in the pattern, I give you the measurements and instructions for a standard crossbody strap, which is a 1-inch wide strap, just like this. But then I also give you instructions on how to make a 2-tone adjustable crossbody strap like this. Now, if you have followed my patterns and have purchased them in the past, I do have a pattern, I don't know, it might have been for the Betsy Bowler, I can't recall, but I did do a 2-tone strap on that one. But that one's strictly for working with vinyl or cork, in addition to some quilting cotton to make your strap. You couldn't make the strap completely in quilting cotton. So this particular design here, you can use any types of fabric or combinations that you want to make that two-tone strap. This is my new favorite strap now, and I'll probably be making this in most of my bags. I really just like the two-tone look of it. So you can make either of these. The instructions are in the pattern for either of those. When I make the bag today, I'm actually only going to be making the shoulder strap at the moment, and I'm doing a two-tone shoulder strap. So you're going to need a piece of your lining or whatever your contrast fabric is right here, and then your main fabric, which I'm doing the vinyl. Now all of my quilting cotton pieces include some woven interfacing on them. I now sell woven interfacing on my website. It's called Sew Woven Fusible Interfacing. I happen to be almost out of stock on it, but I will be getting a restock in the next 30 days. But I'm really enjoying that particular interfacing. It's ironing on beautifully. So I'll be making a shoulder strap today. I will start to sew up this crossbody strap right here, but I don't have strap connector, or I should say I don't have enough of these swivel snap hooks to make two straps. I actually am running out of stock on the antique brass snap hooks. These were actually the last two from my website, so I kind of snagged those for myself for this bag, and I will be getting a restock on these in another week or two. So I'll start to sew this, but I won't be able to do the hardware portion of it. But I am going to show you today how to make the two-tone strap. We've got two strap connector pieces right here. And these strap connector pieces, if you're working all in cotton, I do give you the instructions on how to make that with cotton so that you don't have to worry about any fraying right here. But these are the strap connectors that I'm talking about. And here is the front exterior of the bag. I'll explain this little piece right here. This is our zipper tab piece right here. This is the only piece you don't need to put woven interfacing on. And a zipper tab is right here. It's just the end of this front exterior zipper pocket. So that's right there. We have our front exterior top A piece. And we have our front exterior top lining piece right here. I'll show you where those are on the bag. So here is piece A. And here is, let me show you piece B on this one. This is my prototype, and it's not exactly like it's written in the pattern, so I don't want to show you that one. So piece B is this piece right here on the inside. So it's just the back side of piece A. Okay, and then we have our center accent piece right here, which is this piece going down the center. We have our front exterior zipper pocket with the lining, which is the back side. So that is the exterior right here. And then the lining is the back side right here. This is the exterior zipper pocket lining back, which is D1. And that is this big piece right here behind. So if you can see right in here, it's all of this. When I work on my bags, I lay them out on my work surface just like I'm doing right now to kind of keep me organized. So that's a little tip for you. This is my back exterior of the bag. So this is the back panel, which is right here. And then we have our zipper pocket facing, which you can't see, but it's essentially right around here on the inside. And then we have our zipper pocket right here, which is right in there. Moving on to our lining, we've got two lining panels right here. And those are also called D, piece D. It's the same as the back exterior. So we've got two lining panels, and then we have our pockets. So we have a slip pocket right here and a zipper pocket lining piece here. And then we have our zipper facing. So let me show you inside the bag. So here's our slip pocket. Now I did add a little bit of vinyl for contrast on this particular one. And then you can see we have our zipper pocket there. So that's the pocket itself. Here's our gusset pieces. So we've got 2 exterior, 2 lining, and they are going to be joined together with a center seam here at the bottom. Once I do that, I am going to go ahead and iron on piece H, which is a bottom stabilizer piece, and that will just be the bottom right here. Now, because I want to maintain it being more of a slouchy bag, I'm only using some Decaville Light for my bottom stabilizer, but if you want a more structured bottom, you can go ahead and do some Decaville Heavy. And that is all of the pieces that make up the Callie Crossbody bag. This is the hardware that you're going to need for the Callie Crossbody. You're going to need zipper tape or zippers. I do have the measurements for your zipper tape or zippers in the pattern. You're going to need a strap slider, 2 swivel snap hooks, 2 D-rings or O-rings like I have here, plus an additional set of D-rings for the decorative D-rings that are along the strap connector, which are right there. So you can see here I went with 2 D-rings, whereas this bag right here, I did the O-ring and the D-ring, which I'm doing on the new one. Then we have 4 zipper pulls. We're going to need 4 strap ends, a zipper end, and 13 to 14 rivets, depending on how many you want to use. So that is the hardware that you're going to need for your Callie Crossbody. Now you can see here I do have a tassel. I didn't write that into the pattern, but if you want to add a tassel, you will need a tassel cap here. And it does attach to a zipper pull, so you are going to need a zipper pull that has like a hole in it so you can attach that. Now I am going to be selling these tassel caps on my website, but they won't be arriving for another week or 2. When I do get them in, they're going to be available in all 6 finishes, which is light gold, rose gold, nickel, gunmetal, antique brass, and rainbow. So you can check that out if you want to wait for those to get here. Now, like I showed you earlier, if you want to make a shorter crossbody strap like this one, you will need some additional strap ends, and then 2 more snap hooks and 4 more rivets if you're choosing to do that second strap. We're going to begin by making our strap. In this instance, I am doing the shorter 22-inch shoulder strap. I'm doing the 2-tone strap here. I've done a little bit of the prep work, so I'm going to explain to you what I did. So I have taken both of my pieces, put them right sides together, and clipped them down one of the sides. I then went ahead and took it over to the sewing machine and sewed down the long raw edge with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, as you can see here. Now, if I was working strictly with quilting cotton, I would take this over to my iron and press this seam open and flat. However, since I've got some vinyl here, I need to keep the iron away from the vinyl, of course, so I don't melt it. So I'm not going to do that. I'll just kind of finger press it. And then if you're doing quilting cotton only, you would then add your woven interfacing to this entire piece. But since I am doing the combination, I just added some woven interfacing to the cotton side. Now you would go ahead with quilting cotton and fold in the long raw edge to meet the center seam. And as you're doing it, you're going to press it with your iron. But for me, I'm going to go ahead and use some double-sided tape to do this. I did also add some double-sided tape to the cotton side because I just don't even want to get my iron close to my vinyl and melt it. So that's why I'm adding it on the cotton side. So just remove the tape here. So right up to that seam, the stitches right there. I'll add some clips too to make sure that it doesn't come undone as I'm working. And then I'm just going to repeat this process for the opposite side. So I will be back when I'm finished. Now have both sides folded in towards that center seam. I do have those raw edges kind of sticking up. Now what you just want to do is you're going to fold this completely in half. just like this. So it's basically just like your standard strap at this point. And I'm really making sure that the seam between the two is right in the middle as I'm doing this. So I'll just continue along this entire strap, repeating this process. Then I'll take it over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to sew down the left and the right side at a 1/8 of an inch on each side of here. All right, there is my two-tone strap sewn. And at this point, you're going to go ahead and add your hardware. If this was an adjustable crossbody strap, I'd go ahead and start with my strap slider and insert it around the center bar. And here I would insert a rivet, or I would go ahead and sew it nice and securely. Then you would add in your swivel snap hook like this, and you would feed it through one side, back down the other. And then you would feed in this swivel snap hook. And then you would go ahead and add 1 or 2 rivets. I usually do 2, or you could sew, I usually like a box, and make sure it's backstitched really well. And then you can add your strap ends if you want, 1 or 2, it's up to you. But since this is just a shoulder strap, I don't need it to make it adjustable. So let's get rid of all of that. And all I'm gonna do on this one is I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 strap ends. And I'll use my screwdriver and screw those into place. I might also add a little bit of fray check because I do have some cotton here that might fray, so I'll probably go ahead and add some fray check. But I'll repeat this for both sides and also add in my swivel snap hooks right here. So I'll do that first, so that way I can get it on, just like this. And then I'll add a couple of rivets. So let me show you when I'm done what it's gonna look like. Here is my strap completed with the rivets installed, strap ends, and the snap hooks. I decided to go ahead and have the cotton fabric be the outside, and then that to be the contrast, which is the inside. I used my rivet pal to make sure that my rivets were spaced perfectly on my strap, so you can get that on my website if you want to get one of those. I have them in 4 different colors. So let's move on to working on the exterior front. Okay, so we're going to start with our center accent piece. I've already kind of prepped it out for you. And what we need to do is you're going to draw a line down the center, which is 1.5 inches. Apply some double-sided tape along the left and the right side if you're using vinyl. Otherwise, you're just going to go ahead with cotton and bring it to your iron. Fold this over and press, and you're going to repeat for the opposite side. But since I'm using the vinyl, I'm using the double-sided tape. So just like with our straps, we're going to fold this to the center line. And I also like to add some clips just to make sure it doesn't lift it all on me until I get it sewn down. All right, now that I have that all done, we want to grab our front exterior zipper pocket piece, which is C. This one right here. I've already found my centers, and the way I did that, and the way I'll do that for all future pieces here, is I just fold it in half, and I use my scissors to clip a little notch here on the top and the bottom as well to find my centers. You're going to take this piece, and it's a slight bit longer than it needs to be. We will trim that down once we get it sewn on. I like to look here. This is my center, and I line it up with the little notch that I cut, which is my center. And I will clip this into place right here. Now, if you want to add an additional piece of double-sided tape to the back side of the center accent, you can certainly go ahead and do that to make sure it doesn't shift at all. And then I take it, turn it around, and I look for my centers again and make sure that that is all even. And then we're going to take this over to our sewing machine, and you're going to sew down the left and the right side at a 1/16 of an inch, the closest you can get it to the edge. Okay, now that I have that sewn on, I'm just going to trim off that excess on the bottom. And we can now set this aside. Go ahead and grab your 11-inch zipper as well as your zipper tab. I've already prepped my zipper. I added my zipper pull and I've done one side right here. Let me show you what I did. What you want to do is you're going to go ahead and fold over this top edge to make a right angle. And then you're going to go ahead and fold this back on itself. And that's going to give you that, that curve right there. You want to make sure that they're the same length. I've got one side a little bit longer than the other, so off camera I'm going to make sure I get it done correctly. But all you need to do is you're going to stitch just a few stitches along this edge to secure it into place. As you can see, this is the back side. So I'll get that done with the opposite side here. If you have a stiletto, that definitely helps to get it fed through the feed dogs much easier. So if you're not familiar with what a stiletto is, this is a stiletto. I got this from Hannah Woodworking. I'll put a link in the description box below. I love her stilettos. As you can see, they're really beautiful. So use a stiletto. It'll help you feed everything through. Then what you're going to do after that with your zipper tab is you're going to go ahead and take these short raw edges and you're going to fold them to the center just like this and press it with an iron. And we will basically go ahead then and fold this along the raw edge of the zipper and sew this into place. And then we'll just trim off the extra. So let me go ahead and get all of that done and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, you're going to go ahead and grab that front exterior zipper pocket, which is the C again. And I've got my zipper now prepped. I have little markings on the top of pattern piece C for where the zipper begins and the zipper ends. And all you got to do is just bring it just slightly down on your fabric and just use a pen to make a little mark where those begin and end. And then what you want to do is you're going to take your zipper, put it face down, and you're going to go ahead and start that edge right where that little notch was that you just drew on there. And you're going to go ahead and clip this into place. Don't pull on your zipper so that way it doesn't get wavy. And I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine and I'm going to stitch, basically base stitch this at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now that that is base stitched on, you're going to grab the lining side of piece C, place those right sides together, clip it into place, and now you're going to go ahead and sew the entire length of this at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. All right, I have turned that right side out and I've clipped this into place. I also pressed with an iron very carefully to avoid the vinyl here in the center. Pressed this down, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to top stitch this at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and I'm going to base stitch along this edge at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now that it's top stitched and base stitched, it's time to grab your front exterior top A piece. And you can also grab your front exterior top lining piece, which is B. We're going to start with piece A. And what you want to do is the longer edge right here. You're going to put this right sides together along the top edge of the zipper here. And if you need help with finding your centers, you can go ahead and clip in half or clip the little notch here. And then do the same. We're not going to clip the zipper though, because I don't want the zipper to fray. I'm just going to go ahead and fold this in half. I think this side folds better. And then I'm just going to make a little mark with my pen where that center is. Right there. You can also see where the center is by looking at your center accent piece. Then just go ahead and center this on the zipper. Clip it into place, base stitch at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now we're going to go ahead and add the lining piece right here, which is B. So again, it's going to be the longer edge here. Make sure that you get that centered. And we're going to clip this into place and we're going to base stitch this, or excuse me, we're going to sew this on with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. All right, I have gone ahead and turned that right side out and I top stitched along this top edge at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Now it's time to hide the zipper by folding this top portion down. And the way that you want to do that is you want to get a ruler, and I just get a removable marking pen. And from this bottom edge of this vinyl right here, you're going to measure 1 inch, and you're going to make a little mark. You're going to do that for the left and the right sides as well. This is just going to help guide you where you're going to fold it. All right, from here, flip it over, and then you're going to look while it's at you. So I can't see from the side, but this is going to be facing towards you, and you're going to look for that little mark, and you're going to go ahead and fold it on those 1 inch marks. I'm going to turn this so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to place a clip kind of at an angle. And another thing you want to do is you want to make sure that this back lining piece is flush against the exterior piece when you're doing the fold. So when you go to sew it, it's not puckering or out of place. Now if we flip it back over and we flip this up, now we can see where we need to cover the zipper. So we want this whole zipper to be kind of camouflaged. And another way to check your work, or another way to do this as well, is to grab your back exterior piece, place this all evened up here. And when you go ahead and do this, you want to make sure that you are matching up the top edge. And I'm just going to temporarily clip this here to show you. And then we kind of get it all folded into place. So it should match the same exact size as your back exterior piece like this. So everything's good there. I don't need to worry about having that clipped. I just wanted to show you that. Now we're going to go ahead and take this over to the sewing machine and sew this with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. All right, now that that is sewn, this is what it's looking like. I'm going to flip this back up. And just like we had earlier, we want to get this into place and clip it on the sides. And I like to move my zipper out of the way because it's a little bulky right there. Just making sure that it's lined up like if it was zipped, and fold it. And you can see I have a little bit of my lining piece poking out right here. I can just trim that down with my scissors later. Not a big deal. Okay, here is the back side and what it's looking like. Now, this is the point where if you're going to add a bag tag, you want to add your bag tag. I added a bag tag to these two. As you can see right here, this is where my bag tag is. And let me see. Okay, so I wrote it in the pattern that it should be placed about 1 to 1.5 inches up from this folded edge right here. So if I took a look at this one, and it's going to depend on your bag tag and the size of your bag tag, but the center of this one is at 1 inch right here. And then here's the other one that I did the bag tag on, same exact placement, just making sure that it's centered and have it up a little bit away from where we stitched. So if I were to add a bag tag and say this piece of paper was my bag tag, I would make sure I place it right here. Now you want to make sure that you're only going in to the exterior piece right here. So make sure you fold away the lining piece when you're adding your bag tag. But you would do that now. I don't have any that are the antique brass, so I won't be adding any to this bag. All right, once you add your bag tag, then you're going to go ahead and tack down the left and the right sides. You're just sewing this portion right here. And then you're also going to go ahead and grab your, which one is this? This is pattern piece D1, the exterior zipper pocket lining back piece. And we are going to place this behind this one, making sure everything's lined up. You're going to clip this into place, and then you're going to go ahead and base stitch this into place as well. All right, I got those sides tacked down, and I got the back portion of my lining pocket base stitched into place. I wanted to point out that I did not go ahead and base stitch the entire way up here. Now what we want to do at this point is we're going to go ahead and fold this exterior piece out of the way. And this may or may not line up exactly for you. That's okay. We don't see any of this portion right here, but what we want to do is we want to make sure this is laying flat when we move this out of the way. And then we're just going to come in at 1/4 inch seam allowance and stitch right here. So I'm just going to take my roller and trim off this excess. Just to have a nice straight edge. But this is all hidden within the bag, so you don't even see it. And another thing I wanted to go ahead and trim up is my edges right here. They're just not perfect when you do the fold. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim those down. And then this side is just a little bit off, so I'm going to fix this as well. All right, that's good. This portion right here that you don't quite see, that'll be hidden whenever we go ahead and sew the gusset on. So let me take this over to the sewing machine and sew down this edge right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish base stitching this together right here on both sides. Our front exterior is now complete. This is what it looks like. And let me show you the pocket. We got a nice large front exterior pocket there. Here is what the top side looks like. So let's set this aside, and then we'll begin working on our back exterior, where we need to grab the back exterior piece, our zipper facing, and the back exterior zipper pocket piece right here. All right, I have gone ahead and laid my zipper pocket facing on top of the back exterior panel right here. As you can see, this is a little bit different than the pattern piece. So the pattern piece is a perfect rectangle, whereas this one has the corners lopped off right here. That is just because I've gone ahead and used my zipper pal that you can get on my website to go ahead and trace that out and get it cut. So that's why it's just different, but it's the same process. Let me show you what you're going to do with the actual rectangle piece. You want to place this 1/2 inch down from this top corner right here. So I want to make sure that it's 1/2 inch down, and I want to make sure that it's 1/2 inch over. And then you're going to go ahead and place your zipper pocket facing like I've done right here with mine. And you're going to take that over to your sewing machine and sew along that inner rectangle, which is also represented here on this pattern piece. I didn't cut mine out on this one since I'm not using it, but if you had your pattern piece cut out, you would basically just go ahead with your pen and trace inside the inner rectangle here. Another thing is you can use your grid ruler here to line up 1/2 inch along this outside edge to make sure that everything is even. And that's how you would place it. So I'll go ahead and get this sewn up. And from here on out, if you need more instructions on how to how to sew a zipper pocket into any bag with the zipper facing method, go ahead and check out the description box below. I'll have a link for that specific process, and you'll do that for this back exterior pocket as well as the lining pocket that we'll be talking about a little bit later in the video. But a lot of you guys already know how to do this method, so I figured I would just make a separate link for that. Okay, our zipper pocket is now installed into the back exterior panel. Let's go ahead and move on to our strap connectors. Now we're going to go ahead and do our strap connectors. I have already done this one here in the center. Now there's 2 ways to do your strap connectors depending on the type of fabric that you're working with. I'll show you the vinyl one, and then I'll show you a little brief overview of the cotton version. So we'll start off with the vinyl one. So what I've done here is I've gone ahead and drawn a line down the center of my strap connector, and I applied some double-sided tape down the left and the right side. I'm going to remove the paper backing, and I'm going to fold it in to meet the center line, basically like we do with our handbag straps. Okay, I'm going to repeat that for the opposite side, folding it in towards the center. And then I just take it over to my sewing machine and I sew at 1/4 inch seam allowance down both sides. And you can barely see that center seam right there, that center fold. Now, if you're working with quilting cotton, like I have here, the actual piece is a little bit wider. I think it's an extra inch wider. And what you do is you're going to draw a line down the center, just like I did on this one. Mine's already disappeared, so you can't see it. I also recommend drawing a line 1/2 inch in from the left and the right sides. And then what you're going to do is you'll take this over, and then this is also going to be interfaced. Mine, I didn't interface since I'm not actually using this, just for the demonstration purposes. But you're going to go ahead and take this over to your iron, and you're going to fold this over to meet that 1/2 inch line that you drew, basically creating a 1/4 inch fold. You're going to do the same for the other side. Once you do that, you're going to go ahead and take this and fold it to meet the center line. Then you're going to repeat to do the same thing on the other one, just quickly showing you here. And you're going to end up with the same result that we have here, but you're not going to have any raw edges showing down the center, so you don't have to worry about any fraying. They're going to be encapsulated. The only difference that you need to do with the quilting cotton one is you're going to sew at 1/8 inch and a 1/4 inch on both sides. Now you're going to need your O-rings or your D-rings and your strap ends, your screws, and you're going to need a removable marking pen and a ruler. And we're going to go ahead and get our strap connectors all prepped up for us. So I've already done this one right here. And what I did is I first started by adding my strap end to one side of my strap connector. And I'm going to go ahead and do that part off camera, but you're going to go ahead and add that on. And then what we want to do is we're going to go ahead on the opposite end, and I like to draw a little line at 6 inches. That'll tell me where I need my fold to go. So 6 inches, because we want to create a 3-inch fold here. Add your O-ring or your D-ring. Bring it down to that 6-inch mark right there. Use a clip to keep it in place. And then you're going to go ahead and try to find my pen there. You're going to grab your pen and your ruler. Right now we're going to go ahead and mark our placement for our rivets. So from this folded edge right here, we want to measure down 1 1/8 inches. And we're going to make a dot in the center of our strap connector. Okay, from here, from that dot, we are going to go then and measure 1 inch down. And then we are going to do another inch down. And that places that last rivet just beneath the folded edge right here. So that's the placement for all of our rivets. Now we can go ahead and punch holes for our rivets. Okay, so our strap connector is now prepped and ready to go. I'll repeat that for the other one. All right, now it's time to get our gusset pieces, which is pieces F, and we're working with the exterior gusset pieces. All you want to do is you're going to go ahead on this short, straight edge, clip it into place, and sew with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Once you've done that, you're going to go ahead and open it up. You want to lay your seams flat in opposite directions. If you're working with cotton, go ahead and press it with an iron. Otherwise, you're just going to finger press this. And with those seams pressed open, you're going to top stitch this at 1/8 inch seam allowance down the left and the right side of the seam you just created. I've top stitched my gusset. I've also ironed my bottom stabilizer to the gusset. Now we want to go ahead and draw a parallel line to that short raw edge on your gusset at 3/8 inch. Something to consider is if you are using a wider presser foot, such as this one right here, you may want to consider drawing that parallel line at 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch. The reason being is your strap connector and your hardware may get in the way whenever you're doing your final top stitching if you're using a wider presser foot like this. I use my zipper foot, which is this one right here, and it's much narrower, as you can see, so the hardware and the strap connector doesn't really get in the way for me whenever I do my final top stitching. Now you want to go ahead and place your strap connector right on the line that you just drew. So the folded edge there of the strap connector is placed right on the line. Use your pen and mark the holes on your gusset by going through the holes that you just made in your strap connector. Once you do that, you're going to go ahead and punch holes in your gusset. I've already done that. Place your strap connector over top of the holes you just punched. Add your first rivet. And then what I like to do with all of my rivets is I like to make sure that I back that with some stabilizer. So I've got some Decaville light right here that I've already pre-punched my holes. And I'm just placing that on top of the wrong side of the gusset. And then I went ahead and added the back of my rivets. If you're using the optional decorative D-rings, go ahead and slide one on right now. Add your next rivet. Make sure you go through all of your layers, your strap connector, your gusset, as well as your stabilizer piece. And add your backing. And then place your third and final rivet. Repeat for the opposite side. Alright, I've finished both sides of my gusset and strap connectors. The last thing we need to do on here is we're going to go ahead and stitch across the top right here on both sides just to further secure everything into place. Okay, those are now both sewn on, so that way it's got some added security to it. Now it's time to grab your front exterior panel, and we're going to start to clip the gusset to the exterior panel, matching up the bottom center. Then we're going to move around to the top left and then the top right. And you'll have to take your D-ring or your O-ring and make sure you get it out of the way. Since my O-rings are large, they can get in the way. Now I'll just continue clipping around the bag, and I'll see if I need to clip any notches in my gusset. Alright, I got that all clipped into place. I did not have to cut any snips in my gusset piece because everything fits perfectly. That is the way I designed it for quilting cotton or lightweight vinyls. If you are going to be using stabilizers such as Decaville light and some thicker vinyls, you may end up having to clip a few notches in your gusset to make it fit, but you really shouldn't because of the way that I designed it. So at this point, I'm just going to take this over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to go ahead and sew with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance along the clipped edges. Alright, I got that sewn on. Let's take a look at what she looks like and make sure that everything looks good. Alrighty, she is looking beautiful. Really happy with how she's turned out so far. So I caught everything, it all looks good. So it's time to go ahead now and turn it wrong side out again. And we're just gonna grab our back exterior and do the same thing. Go ahead and clip it on, starting at your bottom centers. Then you're gonna do your top edges, your top corners, left and right, and then continue to clip all the way around. And then you're going to take it back to your sewing machine, so with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then your exterior is going to be all complete, and we can move on to the lining. Alright, I've got both sides of my exterior sewn to the gusset. I have also gone ahead and trimmed down my seam allowances to about 1/4 of an inch. Let's turn it right side out. You just want to kind of roll your edges out as well if need be. And something to mention is I did go ahead and switch my thread to a brown thread to match my vinyl rather than the contrasting thread that I have been using, because when you're working with vinyl, at times you might see a pulling in the seam, which would be a lot more obvious if I was working with that cream colored thread that I had for the contrasting. So that's why I have it like this. All right, so I'll play with that a little bit more, but this is what she is looking like so far. I really like her. I love these fabrics. My husband actually picked out this fabric to go with this one here. Initially for this video, I was thinking I was going to just do the whole exterior and the vinyl, but he encouraged me to use this one right here, and I'm very happy that he did because I quite like it. So this is what our Callie Crossbody is looking like so far. We are going to go ahead and move on into our lining. I've already done the one panel of my lining and added my zipper pocket just like I did with the vertical zipper pocket on the back exterior. So go ahead and check out that description box below for a link to get the instructions for this if you need it. Now go ahead and grab your remaining lining panel, and you're going to need to grab your slip pocket right here. And we are now going to go ahead and sew up our slip pocket. You're going to want to go ahead and match the shorter edges together, which are, let's see, the 9-inch edge. So the 9-inch edge, put these right sides together. You're going to clip this into place, and you're going to go over to your sewing machine, and you're going to go ahead and sew it down one of the sides along the top, only a couple of inches. Repeat for the other side, and you're going to leave about a 3 to 4 inch gap here, so we can go ahead and turn the slip pocket. All right, I've got that sewn up now. Go ahead and trim down your seam allowances to about 1/8 of an inch. And make sure that you kind of clip your corners so that when we turn this right side out, you get some nice sharp corners. Do not clip or do not cut here where we've left this opening, because that's going to help us close it up later. Okay, turn it right side out. We're going to press this with an iron, and then we're going to top stitch the folded edge at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So let me go ahead and get that done for you. Here's my slip pocket, top stitch along that top folded edge right here. We still have the opening here at the bottom. I've also gone ahead and taken my grid ruler, and I have drawn a line 3 inches over from one of the edges. Then I drew a 1-inch line from that one, and that leaves a, let's see if I can see it here, about a 4-inch line, or I should say like a 4-inch slip pocket right here. So we got a 4-inch slip pocket, a 3-inch slip pocket, and this I'm going to use to slide a pen in. Now you can certainly go ahead and divide your pocket however you want. Today this is how I felt like doing it. I'm sure I did it different in the pattern. I probably just did a center line. Completely up to you on how you want to do that. You may also want to take your cell phone, slide your phone in, and kind of gauge where you want to go ahead and put that if you want to use this for your cell phone. So now we want to take this and place it on top of our lining. And we're going to go ahead and put this 2.5 inches down from this top edge right here. So I'm measuring from the top center. So I just take my ruler, place it there, and I've actually placed it almost right. And I also want to make sure that it's centered. So off camera, I'm going to make sure that I have everything centered here. Then I'll go ahead and sew down the left, right, and bottom sides at 1/8 of an inch. Okay, I've got the sides, the bottom, and then I went ahead and also sewed where I made my lines here for my pen pocket. And here you can see I've got my slip pocket and my pen pocket. Now it's time for us to go ahead and do just like we did our exterior. I have already gone ahead and sewn my 2 pieces of my gusset together down the center here. And then I opened my seam allowances, and I went ahead and top stitched on along the left and the right side at 1/8 of an inch. Grab one of your exterior panels, or excuse me, grab one of your lining panels. And I'm not going to show you this since we just went over this, but you're just going to go ahead and clip this into place. Sew this with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance starting at the top for about 2 inches. Then you're going to gradually increase your seam allowance as you're working around here to 5/8 of an inch. And as you're coming back up to about the last 2 inches here, you want to go ahead and go back into your 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. The reason that we do this is it allows your lining to fit more snug inside of your exterior. So make sure that you're doing 3/8 of an inch, increasing to 5/8 of an inch, just like that. Okay, now that is sewn on. We're going to do the same thing for the opposite side. The only difference is that we are going to leave about a 5-inch opening here at the bottom, just like we do with the slip pocket, so that we can go ahead and turn the bag later. So go ahead and do the 3/8 of an inch, increase it to 5/8 of an inch, stop about here, and leave that open, making sure you backstitch. And then I'll come back and show you when I'm done. I have sewn that side on, and here's the opening. I've also gone ahead and trimmed down my seam allowances to about 1/4 of an inch. You can turn this right side out if you want to take a look at your work. I'm going to leave mine just as it is. It's time now to go ahead and grab our zipper and our exterior, and we're going to go ahead and put everything together. I've got my 14-inch zipper right here. I've already gone ahead and prepared it by adding a zipper end. The way you do that is you're just going to go ahead and fold the edges of your zipper in kind of to form this triangle, and then you can slip the zipper end on there and add your screw. Then I've also gone ahead and done the top edges here and rounded them over like we did earlier in the video. So now we want to go ahead and open our zipper up all the way, and we're going to begin by placing the right side of the zipper down on top of our exterior when we want to start our end of our zipper at 1/2 of an inch over. I want to start this at 1/2 of an inch, which is right here. We're going to clip this into place. And again, these are right sides together, so the wrong side of the zipper is facing up right now. I am going to continue to clip this on the exterior, and I'm going to stop it 1/2 of an inch away from this end as well. So want to make sure you do that. You can use a pen to make a little mark to help you out. So that's my 1/2 inch mark where I need to stop. Now this is very important. When you're doing a zipper like this on the top of the bag, if you go and you're pulling your zipper really snug as you're clipping it and or when you're sewing it, it's likely going to go ahead and be wavy as your end result. We don't want a wavy zipper. So when we're clipping this into place, we want to do our best to just gently put it in a position and clip it without doing any pulling. So let me get this clipped into place. This is now clipped into place. One thing I want to point out when we're doing zippers like this at the top of a bag, when you have this at your sewing machine and you're sewing down here, we're base stitching this at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Just before you come to that 1/2 inch mark here, you're going to go ahead and taper the zipper just slightly, just like this, and sew it kind of straight off to the edge. So that's really important that we do that. So it's clipped like this, but you're going to go ahead and turn it. This side is now sewn on, and I did taper it off just like I said. Got a little sewing machine oil on here I need to go ahead and wipe off. So now what we want to do is if I don't do this particular step this way, I get confused and I end up twisting my zipper. So this is what I recommend doing, is closing your zipper, putting it up just like if this was secured to your bag. So you're going to flip your zipper so it's right side up, just like this. Kind of hold it into place, unzip it. Then you're going to take this side and you're going to flip it so it's right sides together. So hopefully you can see that here on camera. And just like before, I'm going to place this 1/2 of an inch away from this edge right here. So to further explain that, it's 1/2 of an inch from this seam here where the gusset meets the exterior. And I'm going to clip it into place just like I did before and sew it so that it is tapering off on this end as well. Both sides are now sewn on. Let's double check our work and make sure we don't have our zipper twisted before we move on to adding the lining. So you can see here that it is not twisted, and we have it so that it's kind of tapered up into the bag like this. Okay, next step is we're going to go ahead and insert the exterior inside of the lining. You want the back side to be the one with the zipper pocket right here. So match the exterior back with the zipper pocket right here. I've got this all clipped and I'm ready to go ahead and sew along the top edge of the bag. And we're going to be sewing this with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. when you are clipping your bag into place and you have the end with the zipper tail, make sure you have that zipper tail pushed down in there out of the way so that you're not sewing it when you're doing your stitching right here. Okay, now I've got that sewn together, and as I mentioned earlier in the video with regards to the gusset here and sewing, when I went ahead and sewed along the edges here, I made sure that I had that hardware and strap connector clearly out of the way as well. So now it's time for us to go ahead and turn the bag through the lining. I'm going to do this off camera because I usually need to, well, this one, let's see, I can do this. Yep, this one's pretty easy to turn, so I can do this while I'm reaching over. I like to push my lining inside, and the last thing that I do is close up the hole because I like to do my top stitching first. I'll have to finger press along the edges to get everything to lay appropriately when I'm doing my top stitching. But let's just take a quick look. Your zipper might be like mine initially. You just need to turn it to get it to be the direction that you need it to be. And so my zipper is not twisted at all. So here is what she's looking initially. I'm going to come in now on my sewing machine and do my top stitching. So again, when I do this, I'm going to make sure that I'm pulling everything, all the layers away from each other, both the lining and the exterior. Do this top stitching at 1/8 of an inch. All right, I've got her top stitched. And now it's time to go ahead and close up the lining. So go ahead and pull your lining out. And all you need to do is make sure that those raw edges are turned in. Go ahead and clip it and sew with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. The lining is now sewn up. You might be able to see that down there, and it fits pretty well. And this is what she looks like. There's just a little bit of wave in the zipper, not too bad. And here is the back zipper pocket. Let me show you what she looks like on my shoulder. All right, guys, here's Miss Callie all completed and on my shoulder. I am loving how she turned out. If you're like me, every single bag that you make is your favorite bag. And right now, this one is my favorite bag. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you pick up your hardware kit on my website at sewyours.com. And now that I've sewn mine, it's time to sew yours. Bye-bye.